to pay the bill here. My most important issue is I'd like to see, while I agree about the school buildings and all that need to be renovated or torn down or whatever, I also like to see some accountability in Baltimore County public schools for the IEP program. To be very honest, I took my 8th grade granddaughter to dinner for her birthday a couple years ago, and she was opening her presents, and I told her to read her card because I got a very funny card. She was in 8th grade. She couldn't read her card. She couldn't read the card. And so I became involved with her mom and her dad and the school that she was attending. And because I wanted to know, how does somebody get to the 8th grade and can't read? So we went through a long process, and I found out about IEP and all of that. She was never tested for IEP through those grades. Number one, because it's some type of bad omen for schools to ask for money for IEP, and also because as I was told by several of her teachers, she's not a behavior problem. So because she's so quiet and sits back, we don't really pay that much attention to other needs that she has. Okay, so then it was lawyer time and getting some accountability. She has since graduated this past June from high school. She is currently in the Baltimore County free tuition program at CCBC, all because her whole village had to get involved in getting her from the 8th grade to the 12th grade so that she can have goals in her life. In 8th grade, she didn't know what she wanted to do. She had no idea. Now she's taking an ENT, you know, the ambulance, you know. She's taking that and she loves it and that's what she wants to do. But she shouldn't have gotten to the 8th grade and not been able to read. Someone should have tested her. When they finally did test her, when we insisted they tested her, she does have a reading disability. Not dyslexia, but a different kind. So I just want to see teachers in the middle and the high schools held accountable for children who are floundering and caring and finding about why they're floundering and getting them where they need to be so that they can go on to become valuable and productive members of society. And it's called the IEP program, and you need to go into the schools and find out. When she left middle school...
All right, ma'am, we're going to get your information and file. We pushing 3 minutes. You see the lines. We want to be respectful of everyone.
When she left middle school, her IEP was supposed to follow her to high school. It didn't.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, just a reminder, again, we're not trying to be rude. It's just we have to respect the space that we're at. And if you look at the lines, we don't want to leave with someone in line. That wouldn't be right. So just try to stay with the 2 minutes. That's why these folks are getting your name so we can follow up with you. Thank you.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Johnny. I'm Kitty Honaker. I represent 1,536 homes in Catonsville Manor. I just have 2 quick points for you. Abandoned cars. The police are ticketing the cars, and the towing company's not picking them up. We only have 1 towing company to service Baltimore County. If we can get another towing company come in and move these cars quickly, these people are moving the cars all over the manor. So we definitely need help in that area. Second point, the sidewalk program. Can we bring it back? We have a lot of, I'm one of the constituents. I got my sidewalk done. I can see Baltimore County done a fantastic job. And I think that program's really good for us to bring it back. But again, as in Catonsville Manor, we share the passion, and we share it Baltimore County. Thank you.
I'm Cheryl Thurber. I live in Catonsville. County Exec, in the presentation, you mentioned money left on the table. My concern is with the developer impact fees. I know that's going through the process right now with the state legislature. I just want to know where both of you stand on where you will vote when it does reach the county level. So could I get both of you?
Sure. I don't vote, but what I can tell you is that we've already put in a letter of support in the legislature, our administration supporting the state legislation so that we have that authority to move forward here in Baltimore County.
And Councilman Quirk.
Yeah, I support the concept. I'd like to see more of the details. Saying that, looking at the numbers, the projections I'm seeing is maybe 8 million a year. So it helps, but it doesn't close the gap.
So you're still non-committal then? I mean, I know
Well, it's hard to be committal until I see the details, but conceptually, I support it.
Thank you. It would make an enormous difference for our schools and for our roads if developers have an impact, so they need to pay for the impact that they're causing on the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cindy Freeman. I'm from Catonsville. My husband and I moved here 13 years ago for the state park access and the great public schools. We were very naive in what was actually a state park. We've noticed as we've lived here that practically all of the woods around our house that is not protected, which is not much, has been developed. I actually live on the other side of Maple Avenue, so I was at the meeting last week, and now I'm hearing that the last piece of undeveloped woods will be developed pretty much, we believe. I guess I'd like to understand better our zoning laws. They seem to favor the developers. I read everything, I go to the meetings, I try to understand how we can, try to do something about this. And every single time the development goes through, it leads to the school overcrowding. The traffic on Hilltop, where I live on the other Hilltop, is insane. We have not only road issues and, school overcrowding, but the stormwater. Many of our houses flooded last year when Ellicott City flooded, and a lot of the water issues have actually changed since the developments have happened around our houses. And again, when we went to the meeting about Maple Avenue last week, when that was brought up again, my impression is as long as they actually meet the requirements of making this fake stormwater collection, they can develop our woods. My daughter's almost 13 years old. Her friends use the woods all the time, and there isn't much left. Thank you.
Yeah, just real briefly, because I know we have so many people coming out to speak. One tool that I encourage everybody to look at, Baltimore County has something called My Neighborhood. So if you Google Baltimore County My Neighborhood, it's a great tool. It will show you all the different zoning for every tract of land in Baltimore County. In addition, there's a wonderful guide that you can Google called Citizen Guide to Zoning. That helps basic knowledge of how property rights work, how citizens' input is. Lastly, I'd encourage everybody, if you haven't been on my county council Facebook page, I'd highly recommend it. I know there's a lot of people here about the Davis Farms development. On the county council Facebook page, we did put all the email addresses and helpful information where citizens can get involved and make sure that your voice is heard. So definitely, that's 3 things I just wanted to mention. Thanks.
Hi there. My name is Mark Weaver, and I've lived in Catonsville for 27 years. First of all, thanks for the bad news. And I'm serious. I mean, we need it, right? And thank you, Tom, because you've always been very straight on these financial issues. And we've got to know it. We can't print money, unfortunately. Although it'd be nice to have county dollars, but that's a story for another day. Okay, my son went to local schools, did very well. I went to community college here it was an incredible deal. The roads are okay, I know if I call the cops, they're going to show up. They're professional. Same with the fire department. They get my trash. All these things are provided by government, and I'm glad to get them. Now, I want more, like a lot of people. I want expanded preschool, which I think is the best investment on the table. I want better schools. I want a lot of things. And I'm sure everyone here is in essentially that same boat. We're doing pretty well. We want more. And I'm here to ask you to raise my taxes. Thank you.
Can I get a piece of that? All right, I'm Mark Tomizawa, and yes, I've walked into some of your offices on Fridays, and we've had funny conversations near the firehouse and so forth. And so one of the things I do is I notice, and please give me a 20-second warning. 20 seconds, right? Like basketball. Why isn't there a countdown clock here anyway? No, I'm not. I'm making a point. The other thing is, will the audio be on your websites and will it be broken up so we can find the specific suggestions? Just go right to them. Yeah, why not? Okay.
We are live streaming and we'll have that archived.
No, but I mean broken up by person. I'm going to say maybe that would be a good idea. Now, and will your presentation, their Prezi presentation, also be on?
That is available, yep.
Oh, thank you. All right, it would be cool to kind of put, all right, so here's the point. I'm a nerd, if you haven't figured that out. I do democracy by design. I cherry pick. There's a lot of stuff in Massachusetts. This weird place called Cambridge, which has done a thing you could call democracy by design. So I'm going to make these Wikipedia tabs, if you put those in your head, or follow this. So at whatever point we're in. If you look at democracy by design, it's not there. It's called charrette, which is design of your house, your home, or an entire county. The interesting thing is if you do charrette, which is by design, you can then have people do what they've talked about, have a virtual village, town hall, whatever you want to call it, and it's live, and all these suggestions could go in, and they could be a little push pin, kind of like Google Earth, you know, something we don't have to invent, and then each of those things could be followed up with the smartphone evidence, like, you know, the bins and the other things, and then you could put that on a map and actually see the water flows, and then everybody could start to see the effect of upstream, downstream, and what used to be called the bloody bucket. We won't go there. The point is that all this is about social decision-making and human development and land development, and the way they described it in Cambridge, and we can beat them to, that was 20 seconds? Good. I'll put the rest in the ideas thing, but what would be great is to be able to have your digital infrastructure tie in so that all this could come to life, and then people would see their neighbors, and then their neighbors would see their neighbors, and this would fit into the county human book thing that's coming up this summer, but maybe we can get that started sooner, and now people are video, you know, YouTubing, and I know with 10 seconds left, I'll say this. Why is your name Quirk, but you're wearing those socks, Johnny O? Mark Tomizawa, and if you want to find me, they've got the information. Thank you.
They make me feel a lot better.
Could you let those to me?
Sure. And just to the point about technology, I mean, we are trying to leverage new platforms and new ways of communicating, and it's just going to take us. Rob, our IT director, is doing great work, but he knows that he's empowered to start bringing and partnering with people like you to start bringing these ideas to life. So it's all part of where we want to go. So
just share my email or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Julia Graham from Owella. And I'm here just to ask you not to forget about the parks, the county parks. People have mentioned the state parks, but we've got a lot of great county parks, and specifically the Trolley Trail number 9 in Owella that got devastated by the flooding. And I know there's some FEMA money and it's going to be a long process, but want to make sure that that project, getting the trail restored, gets done. And my specific interest in it is we have 3 beautiful interpretive signs that we raised money for, got a grant from Patapsco Heritage Greenway for, got a grant from Maryland Heritage Area for, that are sitting in a basement storage area waiting to go up on the trail. So we're really anxious to see that project get finished. A more general thing is that I just want to congratulate Baltimore County for being such good fiscal managers. When you look at some of the other counties around the state, Baltimore County's done an amazing job. It hasn't raised taxes in decades. I want to mirror what Mark said. It's time. And I specifically ask that you raise the income tax because the income tax is more progressive than the property tax. And so I would ask you, again, like Mark said, I don't want to see services slashed. I want to see us continue to be able to do good things for our citizens, to have amazing projects for our future, for our schools, for everything for the community, and please raise our taxes.
Thank you. Just real briefly on the trolley trail, I did want to mention Cody from the Catonsville Times, writes for the Sun, did a good article on this recently. FEMA money, hopefully fall of 19, that gets back in order, and I think everybody be happy. And I know, working with Delegate Ebersol too, you're looking at the state park, that's another big one. I hope we get some state money for it, because some of those trails that are offline right now, it's really, we got to get those back. So thank you, appreciate it.
Hi. Hey, Tom. John. My name is Michael McCullough from Halethorpe. I guess I'm representing Halethorpe Improvement Association on this issue. Sidewalks. We've talked about sidewalks before. So we'd like to see more sidewalks in general. And I guess I'm talking in particular for Potomac Avenue. There's 2 sections right outside the MARC train station that I think really are needed. You come out of the MARC train station and you just come up to the street or grass or woods. It's about 100 yards long. We could use a sidewalk there. It doesn't have to be great. It could be asphalt. It doesn't have to be concrete. And the other is at the other end of Potomac Avenue near the post office. Probably about another 200 yards of sidewalk. I think we could really use it, and it would connect Arbutus and Halethorpe a lot. Speaking of sidewalks, we've been talking to our state delegates, Ebersol and Hill and Feldmark and such. And hopefully you'll be supportive of expanded sidewalks from the MARC train station outwards, particularly up toward the Guinness Brewery, and maybe even beyond toward Elk Ridge, maybe connect the communities there. I know Guinness is very supportive of a sidewalk from their facility down the MARC train station. So speaking of sidewalks, yeah.
Better walk, right?
Yeah. It's been a tough walk for me going back and forth there. Being a little selfish about that one. Speaking of sidewalks, got a new sidewalk on Sulphur Spring Road under the MARC train and Sulphur Southwestern Boulevard. We've wanted that for years. It finally came about. Thank you very much for making that happen. It connects Arbutus and Halethorpe. And then the next thing, restrictions. I'd like to see less restrictions on the refuge centers. I think Western Acceptance Facility. We only have 3 of them in all of Baltimore County. We're getting more and more residents that develop trash, mattresses, things like that to throw out. I'd like to see 5 more of those in the county. I think it would be great. I clean up a lot of dead-end roads, stuff that looked like it was probably refused at the landfill, and so I think that's what's going on there. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Eric Bernardi. I live on Ingleside Avenue in Catonsville. Lived there for the last 13 years. In the last 13 years, we've seen virtually every single street between Ingleside and Rolling Road that is between Frederick Road and Edmondson. Every single one between us and Rolling Road has been repaired, fixed, traffic calming, nice speed humps and everything like that. And yet Ingleside Avenue is probably the most traveled road on, actually it is the most traveled road on between there and Rolling Road. And it has seen, well, it did see some repairs 2 summers ago. They came and spot repaired the sidewalks with blacktop in little areas, really making it look terrible. My wife, we had to decide who was coming here tonight, she has written Councilman Quirk for years regarding this. We were asked by his office, my friend Laura Bacon, to come here tonight to express this. There's no drainage or sewer drains along Ingleside either, making it a river. And a few weeks ago, as a runner, running down there, I was splashed so soundly from not only just the pothole, but the river, that I have been really anxious to come to this. I was planning on going to the high school and just sharing this. But our street, Bloomsbury, got fixed because the elementary school went in. It looks beautiful, but there's not nearly as many people that live on there as that live on Ingleside down. And after some of the stories that some people shared, I feel a little selfish, asking that my road get repaired, but everyone else's is getting fixed and is not nearly traveled on as much as ours. Thank you.
You'll be happy to know that your councilman, that was one of the first things that he brought to my attention when we had one of our first meetings, so he's in agreement. And I think we have Delegate Pat Young has also joined us as well in the back there, so.
Hi, my name is Erica Ma, and I'm in Catonsville, and I've been speaking about my concerns with the school system for the past 8 years, and I just wanted to get some quick audience participation on this part. How many people here either have children in or grandchildren or are students themselves in BCPS? Okay. How many of you are concerned with standardized testing going on in the schools? How many of you are concerned with the STAT program in the county schools? How many people are concerned about the screen time in the schools? And how many, I know you're raising your hand on this one, how many people are concerned about school construction in Baltimore County schools? There's been a lot of problems, and like I said, I've been speaking for about 8 years, and I have high hopes that the new hybrid Board of Ed with Lisa Mack will answer the concerns that many of us feel have been ignored for the past 8 years. And I want to thank you, County Executive, for publicly stating that the budget should not be balanced on the salaries of teachers. As a parent, I've been watching and advocating for BCPS as they pour money into the STAT program at the cost of students and teachers. When you asked the BOE and superintendent to reconsider their budget, I was shocked that the superintendent cut teachers' salaries, claiming that this was the way to balance the budget, and then gave minimal adjustments to STAT. That is why we don't have money for teachers and staff. Put money back to the people who teach our children. Keep STAT ratios in kindergarten to 5-to-1. Make all elementary schools 2-to-1. Yes, there's testing in grades 3 through 5, which is one of the arguments for them to have 1-to-1 devices. But if there's so much testing in those grades that each child needs their own device, I think that tells you that there's too much testing going on, not that they need more devices. If money is to be spent on STAT, can it please be directed to health and safety requirements, so children are not hunched over looking at 8-point font while listening to the volume on 100? Make sure that the systems work before putting more and more into them. In the middle school, in just these past 2 weeks, my children have wasted 3 entire class periods doing nothing because computers didn't work for testing or the teachers could not access or upload their lesson plans. The children need to know technology, but they need it to work and be thoughtfully implemented. And what they need more are caring teachers in the classroom.
Good evening. I'm Samuel Jordan. I'm president of the Baltimore Transit Equity Coalition. We are a regional organization. In fact, about 3 or 4 of our activists who reside in Catonsville are here this evening. I want to publicly thank the county executive for accepting our invitation at a very critical moment in his campaign when he was 47 votes in a recount. We supported him then, we support him now, because we know that regional transportation issues must be addressed by a no-nonsense champion. That's what we see in the county exec. But I want to make certain that we address this crisis in the county because transportation infrastructure is at a crisis level in the Baltimore region. When Governor Hogan canceled the Red Line Light Rail project, he sentenced the Baltimore region to an economic development abyss from which we have not recovered. Baltimore County, Baltimore region will not be first class, first rank among the regions in this country without a modern transportation system. The mantra in the industry is development follows rail, buses follow development. We know we need to take another look. So we want to certainly interact with any initiative or task force on this issue to move it further, but we also want to address problems that we know exist. I'm certain some of you here are aware of them also. We've attended several of the town hall meetings already. What we have seen often is the conflation of crime and public transit, even when the official records kept by the county police here in Baltimore County show that there's no such connection. But there is a fear, and it's a promoted fear. It's an artificial fear. What it does is it leads us to retardation and suppression of development. I want to mention, when we look at it to get a sort of perspective, there are already $12 billion in projects committed to the communities along the Purple Line rail route in Montgomery and Prince George's County. That's where Baltimore region should be. We don't get that until we fight for it. Transportation is lived and experienced at the regional level, not at the state level. What we need now is to look at ways to overcome the depletion of the Transportation Trust Fund, deliberately organized by the governor, whose mantra is toll roads and highways, first, only, and always. The only project on the books for the Baltimore region over the next 6 years is an expansion in toll roads on I-95 north of the city, a $1.95 billion project, and the tolls themselves will never collect more than $10 to $12 million a year. How many years is that? $1.95 billion plus expenses and interest at $10 to $12 million a year. It won't happen. It's a delusional strategy. So what we're asking, and thank you, I see the time is up.
Yes.
That we can meet, we can follow this up because we want to make sure there's a collective approach to answering these questions in what is a regional transportation crisis. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate the chance to speak. My name's Amanda DeLeo, and I'm from Catonsville. I'm a parent of kids in the BCPS system, and I share the concerns about STAT. Particularly, I think it's wastefully implemented, poorly implemented on the elementary school level. But I'm here to talk about other things as well. Also, I concur with the woman who talked about the development on Maple. The story with my neighborhood is a lot of us moved from the city to the county for better schools, to be near the parks, and these areas are all being developed. Same, as close as I am to the park, I can't believe how much development there is. Our schools are crowded. In the area where I live, which already seems plenty built out, there are 2 upcoming developments proposed. Our schools are at or over capacity. As you know, the SAGE report says that Catonsville High School will be 500 students over capacity by the time my kids get there in 2027. And again, this is one of the reasons people move to the county, yet development continues. Many schools in the area that do exist, as you both know, are in terrible condition. You know, we've got electrical fires at Lansdowne, we've got power outages just from normal operations at Johnny Cake Elementary School. So we've got all these issues going on. I've been reading about development impact fees, and that seems great, but I found a document from DLS in 2014 that says that there are excise taxes, which are similar to development impact taxes, but that are freer of the restrictions on what they can be used, okay? So they're same as development taxes, but comparatively free of restrictions on their amount and use. According to the Baltimore County attorney, Baltimore County is already authorized to collect these taxes. Baltimore County taxpayers, although some of us want to pay more taxes, we're also looking at other sources, right? Why not collect these excise taxes on developments and buildings that are coming in? I hear you that it maybe isn't a ton of money, but for example, Howard County in 2015 collected $14 million, nearly $7 million of which went to the schools in 1 year. All these reports, multiple years, counties around us are collecting millions of dollars year after year. Baltimore County, 0, 0, 0. Why aren't we collecting this money from developers? We need this money for roads, for infrastructure, for schools. We need this money. Let's do this. We're the ones who are speaking. We want you guys to do this. Mr. Quirk, I would like you to commit to doing this. Can you speak into the microphone, please, Mr. Quirk? What say you, Mr. Quirk?
We will consider. I'm one of 7 council members.
I've heard that others are on board.
Okay.
Are you on board, Mr. Quirk?
I'll have to look at the details.
You heard him.
Good evening. I'm here representing Cub Scout Pack 306 out of Catonsville Presbyterian Church. We also have representatives from the Boy Scout Troop 306 in the back. I'm here because my children, I'm a den leader, and they had found an issue and they wanted to share it with you. So I'm not here to talk, and we are leaving afterwards because it is a school night.
Last weekend, I visited Masonville Cove Environmental Center there was a ton of trash. Baltimore County has a trash rule. What is Baltimore County doing to help? What is Baltimore County helping to do combat the trash and pollution? What can we do to help?
Gentlemen, what's your names, guys? What are your names?
Bryce Mason. Hayden Mullaney.
Well, first of all, I'm very proud of both of you for stepping up and sharing. I think we need to engage. There's a lot we have to do. And one of the cool places you might want to visit actually is the Back River Restoration Committee. They have the trash boom collector, and we do a lot of sort of similar, we see a lot of what's coming down the watershed. And so it's clear that we need to do more to engage communities and organizations like yours to do cleanups. We got to find ways to improve our recycling rates here in Baltimore County. We actually have a pretty low rate relative to what we can do. So I think this is actually about bringing in people like you guys to help us get there. I think the councilman is you.
I think it's an excellent question and a really good point, and I couldn't agree more with you. Like when you drive around, especially after a storm or wind, you look in the trees and you see plastic bags and you see debris all over the roads, and it can get pretty unsightly. I did want to let you know soon, Margaret Stokes has been helping organize a big trash collection effort in Southwest Baltimore County. And so if you're not in Facebook, please join up Councilman Tom Quirk on Facebook, because more and more information is going to come out on it, where we're going to have actually citizens, including the Scouts, participating in trash cleanups in the northern part of the district, the central, and the south. And we're going to try to have these programs being organized all over the district. So it's a way people can give back too, to help get a cleaner environment for everyone. So I really like the question. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Margaret Collins. I am a resident of Baltimore County, live in the Westgate community. In fact, I'm on their board. A number of things concern us, but before I even talk about Westgate, I'd like everybody here to think about the Kerwin Commission. I'd like you to think about our schools, not just here in Baltimore County, but all across the state. And I'd like you to know that there's a group called Strong Schools that are organizing groups in every neighborhood or every community, which you should be part of. And you can join it, and then you can go down to Annapolis and talk to the people who make these decisions. Getting back to Westgate, I live on North Bend. I've lived there for 20 years. When it rains, the water comes down the street, down the sidewalk, turns the corner at my driveway, goes down my driveway, joins a little valley, and goes all the way down to Evanston. The water is so fast that I have to stay out of it because it can knock me down. And that's on the west side of North Bend. On the east side of North Bend, it's even better. On the east side of North Bend, we have a live stream. 365 runs down the street. I've had it tested 3-4 different times. It's fresh water, no chlorine, so they can't hit any of my upstream neighbors for it. So it just keeps coming down the street. And the reason is that years ago, the city redid the street and they took out the culverts, the things that would take the water away off the street. I missed something important. For generations, the people in Westgate's a community that's 900 homes, half city and half county, right on the line, inside the Beltway. We have been part of the Catonsville High School community, supported it, believed in Catonsville High School. And I understand that they might rezone, redistrict, send us away. We would like to stay at Catonsville High School. Thank you.
So I will say that some of the decisions that are clearly, and I want to thank Lisa for being here as a board representative, there are clearly some board decisions that are made that are outside the purview of the council or the executive, particularly as it relates to discipline and curriculum and school boundaries. I mean, any of those issues are clearly in the court of the school system. We collaborate on the budget, so we clearly have a role in terms of where we're funding and what. But on some of those other issues, just so that we're sort of understanding, if you have an issue on redistricting, for example, you probably want to talk to your school board members. If there's a school discipline concern or a curriculum concern, those are all.
Can I just say,
yeah.
The email is boe@bcps.org, and then the emails are sent out to the proper district person. So boe@bcps.org, and we do respond to the email.
Everybody get that?
BOE.
Go ahead. Yeah, you got it. I'm just getting ready for when you turn your cell phone off, that's all.
BOE@bcps.org. BOE@bcps.org.
bcps.org.
Gary Koweiler, 14-year resident of Arbutus and active in the Arbutus Senior Center. Johnny O, I congratulate you on your socks, and I figure that means you're probably the man to accomplish this because you got one heck of a task ahead of you. There's been so much that's been done wrong for so long that I really wish you luck. And I won't go into details on construction, but if the county would get together with other counties and get into unified design on schools and architects and quality control, building costs would come down immensely.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Matthew Reesner. I am with the Ingleside Neighborhood Association of Catonsville. We represent an area that is the Ingleside corridor between Edmondson Avenue and Route 40. Before I talk about our issue, I do have one suggestion for coming up with some more revenue, and that would be to tax alcohol, to tax adult entertainment venues, and to tax marijuana dispensaries. It is an untapped resource at this point, and many counties are taxing these things as of now, and Baltimore County is not. Our main issue is the sidewalks on Ingleside Avenue. Our road is about 20 feet wide in some places, especially the 400 and 500 blocks of Ingleside Avenue. It gets as narrow as about 20 feet there. There's no curb. There is no gutter in many places. Where there was a curb, much of it has been paved over from years and years of just paving and paving and paving. We have 15,000 vehicles a day that travel that, and it connects two major commercial corridors, the US 40 corridor and the Frederick Road corridor, and that is only about a mile apart. And Catonsville will be much more walkable and much more attractive of a place to attract young families who are looking for a walkable community if that was done. On top of that, there are medical offices and a MTA bus route on that road, and I think if any road is going to get sidewalks in this part of the county, Ingleside Avenue should be the first. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ayana Miranda, and I am with the Westview Park Community Association. I have two topics. One is the commercial properties at Security Mall, the boarded buildings, two buildings, the outbuildings that are boarded there and have been boarded up for about 10 years now. What can we do to change that? Number two is Westview Shopping Center, where biggest retailer there, Sam's Club, puts their trash out back, and every time the wind blows, the trash blows down the hill and around the Westview Park neighborhood. What can we do about this? Not just Westview Park neighborhood. When you turn the corner at Ingleside and 40, there is so much trash there, it's very disturbing. I don't see anything being done about that. It happens frequently. My second issue is Johnny Cake Elementary School, the overcrowding, the trailers that have been there. I've been living in Westview Park for 8 years. They've been there, I've understood that they've been there for 14 years. And also the speeding that goes on around the elementary school. It's, what can we do about that? What can we as the community association help you to improve improve our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, and just to answer the question, there are probably any number of things. Partnering with us and our police department to make sure we're deploying speed monitors, speed traps or measuring, not so much traps, but targeting folks who are speeding, so that we're actually knowing where the most problematic parts are. Probably partnering with the administration, with the Councilman Quirk, to identify if speed cameras are located in the best places in terms of keeping our community safe too. And then frankly, doing small things like, I love when communities come together and they have signs that talk about sort of remember that our children are playing here and walking here, and it really is a good reminder. And I think if we do all of those things, we'll really start making some progress.
And just very briefly, if you could see Margaret Stokes after this meeting, because Security Square Mall, we do have Set the Captives Free. They're doing some wonderful work over there now. We have a billionaire that wants to redevelop Security Square Mall. And one of the issues is the property owners don't always agree, and they've been fighting each other in lawsuits for way too long. But the plan and the concepts are there, and we need to get the property owners to the table, and hopefully that's closer. With the trash, I mean, definitely talk to Margaret, because we are organizing this big effort underway. Next couple months, be looking for that. And with the speeding's a continual problem in every part of the district, no matter where I go. I mean, that's probably the #1 issue I hear is speeding and slowing down traffic in people's neighborhoods. And if it's close to a school zone, we can look at it as far as speed cameras. And quite candidly, most people that I talk to like cars to slow down. And so I don't get the type of pushback on the speed cameras that I used to, because they actually do slow people down in the areas that they're in. But appreciate the comments.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Didier. I'm from Arbutus. And first, thanks for this town hall meeting. And also, I really appreciated that budget explanation. That was really helpful. So I want to talk about a sinkhole that's in front of my house. It started last summer, and I called the Department of Public Works in August, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger, and no one has come out to take care of it. The county said it is the county's responsibility because it's by the road, but with all the rain we've gotten and the snow, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and now I'm afraid of kids falling into it, and we just had our sidewalks replaced last year, and the sidewalks are starting to sink a little. So the county has come out 3 times, and they put cones the first time, they put a rope around it the second time, they've traced the gas lines, but nothing has been done. So and there's another sinkhole in the neighborhood too. So anyway, that's my beef. And I also just want to say, I'm really glad that you're working to enhance our recycling capabilities, and thanks for your trash collection effort, Mr. Quirk.
Thank you.
My name is Mary Cowley. I'm the owner of Next Chapter Radio Network Community Therapy in Catonsville. I live in Woodbridge Valley. The 2 people that came up here and said that they want their taxes to go up, you go ahead and make sure you get their names. Leave mine alone. Let's just go ahead and get right into this. You were talking about property taxes as far as collecting money that way, and also through permits and fees and economic and community development, 3% and all of that good stuff. And that's all fine and dandy. But with the development that's going on, have anybody addressed the issue of small cell 5G units that are going to be placed every 2 to 10 houses throughout the United States? That's including here, because we are the United States. And the actual technology, everybody likes the 5G, and in case you don't know what that is, that's like 4G on steroids, and my colleague is going to talk about that because there's health implications with that. And that's going to cause a big influx with people getting sick. I remember you said there's not that many people who are working now. We have less people working. Well, you're going to have even more less. You're going to have less people working, because this technology, although as great as they say it is, it comes with some health implications. Not only that, these small cell towers that they put on property can cause your property value to go down. Okay, so I'm a little concerned about how you guys are addressing this because nobody is talking about this. Seems like the only county that is talking about this is Montgomery County. Baltimore County, I don't know whether you're sick or asleep or whatever the case may be, but somebody's
Tonight
not.
I'm sick, so
Yeah,
yes.
I've seen you yawning a few times. I don't know whether you were bored or whether the NyQuil was kicking in or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that
No, ma'am.
this has got to be taken
well.
care of. This has got to be taken care of. This is an issue that nobody is putting on the table, and it affects everybody. You're talking about upgrading the schools and the infrastructure. Well, that includes the technology, that includes the 5G. So now kids are being inundated and radiated, not only at school, but now they're coming home and getting radiated as well. More so than we are now. What are you doing about that?
So what I can tell you is there's active legislation. So Baltimore County participates in the Maryland Association of Counties as a major local jurisdiction. And there's actually competing bills that are before the Maryland General Assembly currently.
We were there in Annapolis.
Right, so
Nothing got
we
done.
support the version that gives us the authority to regulate through local zoning and local health
So you're talking
ordinances.
about 2010 or 624? Which one was it? 2010. So you're talking about.
I don't know the numbers offhand, but we're trying to engage at the state level so that once we know that we have that authority still, as the technology comes online, we have our permitting director is here, our health director, can weigh in and be a part of those conversations.
I hope so.
Because the state legislation, frankly, is concerning because it would take away a lot of local autonomy in terms of making those decisions.
Well, it's going to happen anyway because we're an FCC state and they've got things in place that will actually prohibit any type of ban or any type of delay in the process of deployment, which is already going on. So I just want to know what you're going to do about it and if you're going to keep us, people who pay taxes and like you so much, informed. That's all.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to thank County Executive Olszewski. I'd like to thank Councilman Quirk for having this. I love this forum. I really appreciate that we all have a voice here. Speaking of love, I love my local cop shop. I want to, shout out. We've got the best police force out on Wilkins. Really responsive, great meetings. So speaking of love, I'm from California originally, so we're sort of like that. I've got several subjects I'd like to cover, 3 basically. Subject 1, I love the arts. So I really would like to see what I can do to help promote this arts district designation that connects Catonsville, UMBC, and Arbutus/Halethorpe, and make us an arts district so we can get additional funding, have folks come in, spend their hard-earned cash in our neighborhoods, have kids see that there's an opportunity out there to be creative and make money off what you love besides tech, although tech is super important, but I also think we need to help kids develop their artistic side. Subject B, schools. I love schools. I love the fact that you're paying attention to schools and you're putting in all this money into your plans. My son graduated over a decade ago. I don't have any kids in school right now. However, if I understood my facts correctly, 50% of the budget is going to school expenses. You have plans for $1.6 billion with a B. You asked for $100 million. That'll be for each year for the next 5 years. However, I believe you said you have an $81 million deficit already. So my question is, where do you realistically expect to get this money? I would like to know how many funding sources you have. 1, 2, or 3, more, less? How realistic is it for us to get money from these casinos? I keep hearing about, since I've been living here for 13 years, casino money. We just voted this last election that we're going to make sure we're going to shut the loopholes down about money escaping out of that basket where the casinos are putting money in. But then, if someone else needs a few bucks here and there, they were siphoning it. So apparently that loophole is shut, but I want to know how we can make sure we're getting that money. I would also like to say that I want to support the high schools first, because our high schools are putting out kids out there and they're ending up sending them to community colleges and are resources are being wasted because our teachers at the community colleges are wasting their time teaching remedial classes that should have been mastered in high school. So I want to make sure that's dealt with. So you mentioned your audit will conclude April 15th. I would like to know, can you guarantee transparency? That question comes from a story I recently heard on NPR, and I didn't have all my coffee yet, so maybe I'm a little off there. However, apparently Baltimore City's auditor is planning to quit because she just can't get the transparency she needs to do her job. Can you guarantee that you will make sure that we're going to have transparency with our budget? And will you pledge no more footnotes with your assumptions, something you pointed out this evening? Thank you.
Yes, no more footnotes in our assumptions. Our assumptions will be based in where we are, what reality is. I believe that the package of reforms that we've put forward for the Office of Accountability and Ethics will accomplish that transparency goal, because it will be, so you had the person step down in Baltimore City. That person ultimately reported, I believe, to the comptroller in Baltimore City. This office that we're creating will be staggered terms. They will live outside of my office. They will live outside of the council office, and yet they will have access to all of the records of executive and legislative, but really most of its executive records to do the investigation that they need to investigate any concerns that are raised. And I think that's important, in addition to the performance metrics and showing people where we are, putting a list of our priorities and when we expect to get them done. I'm learning that big ships take a long time to turn, but I'm on that steering wheel every day, pulling as hard as I can. So, and we're making progress every day. We've got a great team, and we're committed to being transparent as we sort of tackle these challenges with you.
All right, just a real quick update. The gentleman that's at the end of the line there on that side will be the last gentleman there. And Raven's cap here on this side is we're gonna cut off the lines because we're pushing up on time.
I'll just wait. I can't stand for that.
All right, if you wanna come down and grab a seat down here, and we'll plug you in, but we have to start getting close to wrapping up based on the amount of people on.
And just super really quick, because I know we still got a lot of people with questions. There is a wonderful group, in addition, that's advocating for, community center, like Jim Himmel was talking about. There's also another group that's also advocating for Baltimore County Arts Guild. That's even UMBC, a gentleman named Tom Moore. I don't know if he's still here. He was here earlier. Kirby Spencer, Marilyn Maitland. Both are wonderful groups, one for a new community center and one for the Arts and Entertainment District that we'd like to bring back. So I'd encourage you to check out the group and get involved in one or both. They're both great groups. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Tori, and I'm with Next Chapter Radio Network Community Therapy as well, based out in Catonsville. I want to thank everybody for coming out on this cold night. Thank you, Mr. Johnny O, for allowing us to have a voice. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the new technology of communication that you referred to earlier. I take it that these new schools and upgrades to these schools will have 5G part of the budget, hopefully, I would believe. Is the public aware of the implications of these new towers? Is there any kind of information that's being given to the public in referencing to it? Because that's the biggest question that everyone has. When it comes to just knowing about 5G in general, we only know just the basic general when it comes to getting better coverage. It's also been explained how it will broaden the coverage of the 911 program, which is also greatly needed, but at what cost? Just a little bit background on the 5G technology. These cell towers are more dangerous than other cell towers for two main reasons. First, compared to earlier versions, 5G is ultra high frequency and ultra high intensity. The 1G, 2G, 3G, and 4G uses between 1 to 5 gigahertz, while 5G uses 24 to 90 gigahertz. Within the RF radiation portion of the electromagnetic spectrum, the higher the frequency, the more dangerous to living organisms. There have been hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific studies and independent health studies done on RF radiation, linking the health problems such as cancer, DNA damage, and especially in fetuses within the first 100 days of conception, the sterilization of men, and even the World Health Organization classified RF radiation as a possible carcinogenic, meaning cancer-causing, in 2011. What is being done to make sure our families are safe? Why isn't there any information issued to the public from the state of Maryland who have these health concerns, which will affect their community? And when does money, technology, and infrastructure become more important than the safety of our children?
Well, as I said to your colleague, I mean, first of all, we're trying to retain the authority to actually regulate and play a role. In addition to that, we'd be happy to have Michelle, who's got your information, connect you with our health department to have those conversations about if there are things we need to be sharing with the public about, potential risks. We want to do that. So we'll have you connected with our experts there. I'm not an expert in technology or in health. It sounds like those would be areas where we would bring our experts to bear and actually have the conversations about where we are and what we need to share.
Thank you.
Thank you. And sir, I know we've got you. If you'd like to sit until your opportunity, feel free to do that. So.
Hi, Johnny, Tom. My name is Darla Feely, and I'm from the little-known place past Arbutus called Halethorpe. I don't know many people that are here tonight from Halethorpe. It's great to be back here. This is my alma mater. It's changed a little bit since I was here in the late 1900s. But in preparation for tonight, I found a note that I had put some bullet points when I first met you on the campaign. And funny, on that note, in a big circle, is IG for Baltimore County. So I really appreciate you bringing that forth so we have some accountability for an Inspector General. Also on there were a few names that I see people here tonight that are on this list, so thank you very much. I speak for those tonight that have no voice. And I know I'm no stranger to Tom coming into his office pleading for reform for Baltimore County animal control. And I'm really no stranger to you. When you were a delegate, I was trying to pass legislation. When I do an internet search for Baltimore County Animal Services, I just wanted to give you the 3 top things that come up in a Google search. From the Baltimore Sun, scathing report calls for independent investigation into Baltimore County Animal Services. WTOP, Baltimore County Animal Services manipulates euthanasia stats. WBAL, report alleges significant failures for Baltimore County Animal Services. And the latest entry was actually from a town hall. Residents speak up at Baltimore County Town Hall, quote, "We are sick and tired of the problems, mistruths, and corruption in Baltimore County Animal Services," end quote. Our animal shelter has had a horrendous reputation for years. After pressure from constituents, the County Council initiated an Animal Service Commission in 2015 that oversees and reports findings to the County Council and the County Executive. I was once a member appointed by Tom. Thank you very much. The current Animal Commission consists of 7 council appointees and 4 representatives that are appointed from the previous administration, 2 of which regularly attend meetings with the sole purpose to obstruct any progress and attempt to intimidate and manipulate twisting facts to appease the prior administration. A commission that has no power. They've been blocked by shelter management to meet with anyone at the shelter, never received answers to questions, and never received standard operating procedures that had been requested continuously since 2015. And I believe you were at that meeting, Tom, when I asked Fred Homan for those in 2015. The shelter management was never made accountable for their lack of response to simple inquiries, lack of policy, and abominable management decisions, failures of handling abuse cases, falsifying, manipulating statistics, and coercing and intimidating those surrendering an animal to sign over owner euthanasia forms used solely to manipulate statistics. The management remains without consequence or accountability. Even as reports continued gross negligence emerge every day, the county's Animal Services Commission continues to be a useless body whose volunteers dedicate hours and hours of their time attempting to make their animal services a humane place to shelter animals. And I have here with me tonight Joy, who sits on the commission. The commission did produce scathing reports of abuse and neglect with Animal Control Division from the leadership of Fred Homan and the shelter management of Dr. Melissa Jones and Gary Klunk. Yet Dr. Jones and Gary Klunk still work in the management, wrapping up. Also for the gross negligence of a dog named Oscar, who we, Joy, myself, and Julie Ann created Oscar's Law. On a night such as tonight, a few blocks away, a year ago, a dog froze to death. Yes, the owner was convicted of animal abuse, but the county never came out. Multiple calls. I hold them accountable as well, and nothing has been done. My fear is not a matter of when, if it would happen, but when something happens, and I don't want our wonderful new county executive to be in command when something bad happens. Thank you.
Darla, thank you for your advocacy, and this will be, I think, to the extent there are others who want to share the same concerns tonight. I will tell you that we just had a draft report. I think we mentioned this in the last town hall where we had our operational excellence team go in and do a review of practices and policies there. And so what we will do is we will engage the advocacy community once that report is finalized to have a conversation and review it and discuss. We will use that as our basis to make any sort of changes or adjustments that are needed at the shelter, which I think you all have been very strong about advocating for consistently. And the other thing I'd say is I'd love to welcome conversations if the commission's not getting access to information that is preventing you from doing your job. That's something we want to correct immediately. So, thank you.
My name is Steve Schreiner. I'm a resident of Relay. I've been a resident of Baltimore County for 30 years. I'm holding here my property tax bill from 2014 and 2018. And of note is that my sewer service and water distribution sections have gone up about over $200 in the last 4 years. So I don't have a problem with that because I know we have a lot of old infrastructure that needs to be updated. What's missing from my 2018 bill is $39 of stormwater remediation fee. My question is, why did we remove that? I know the county is still on the hook to take care of stormwater runoff. I suspect that it's because commercial properties don't want to pay to clean up their stormwater runoff, and that's why the fee was removed. So I'd like to see it come back. Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Pruitt, and I am a lifelong resident of Baltimore County. I've spent my life in the private sector, so I will compare your position as to one of a CEO. You inherited nothing short of a disaster. The number of issues that require your time and ultimately funding seem overwhelming. However, the research does show that the leading quality separating a good CEO from an exceptional one is the ability to listen. And I wanted to thank you for taking the time to hold these meetings and to hear directly from your residents. I am also here to voice my concern for the animals of Baltimore County Animal Shelter. I am voicing it from, I have been an active volunteer since May of 2016, so that's almost 3 years. On average, I spend 3 days a week inside the shelter, and I spend time every day with another group of 6 volunteers learning about the animals within the shelter to promote them on 2 separate pages on Facebook. Recently, I was asked by another resident of Baltimore County where I was volunteering. I replied BCAS. Their response, thank you, I couldn't do it, what a horrible place. As I reflected on her statement and her interaction at the shelter, I found myself acknowledging this awful environment. The management of BCAS has no compassion for animals or humans. At BCAS, the focus is on the numbers called the live release rate. The focus is not on the animals or the residents of the community who adopt these animals. This then becomes an issue of safety. For example, a dog named Buddy was available for adoption. He was a year old, a 60-pound mixed breed dog. To get Buddy out of his kennel and to walk him took 2 volunteers with slip leads walking parallel on each side of him. As I entered the shelter on the following day, I saw a man approximately 70 years old and 2 staff members helping Buddy into the car. This man had adopted Buddy. In my opinion, that adoption put the adopter, the community of the adopter, and the animal at risk. After 10 days, Buddy was returned to the shelter. The adopter had been bitten and badly bruised. Buddy euthanized. However, since Buddy was adopted and returned as an owner surrender, the euthanasia of Buddy does not go against the shelter. Back to the numbers again in that live release rate. When a resident surrenders an animal, they are asked to sign a euthanasia release form giving consent to euthanize the animal if it is deemed necessary. In this case, however, this animal was deemed adoptable by the same management. Now we have a dead dog and a resident that is injured. Do you think he will consider adoption again at BCAS? Would you? What is he telling his friends and family about his experience? The terrible tragedy spreads like wildfire. So to wrap up, why is BCAS not a place where animal advocacy and community education come together? Why is it not staffed with people who initiate, implement, and make progress a regular part of their daily function to engage the community it serves, behavioral health, and community involvement? Compassion and dedication are missing at BCAS. The shelter has no desire to advocate for its animals. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Catterton. I've been a resident of Catonsville since January of 1955, and I'm obviously a retiree. I belong to 3 senior centers in Baltimore County, and there are many of us, as I am, that are on relative stricter budgets than we would have if we had a choice. Obviously, you've been granted a little $82 million surprise that I'm quite sure that you would like, with a stroke of a pen, to eliminate. And every one of us here will probably have some project that we would like to have addressed. Unfortunately, we can't. I would ask that you have 4 years, sir, and obviously you're going to get 8. So I would counsel you to.
I like the way you're thinking.
Okay. I would counsel you as an individual and a member of the Old People's Group. Be responsible for all of us. You know, we can address needs. We have to prioritize. I'm an old retired state employee, and the years when the larder wasn't really full, we got very little. If county employees have to do the same, so be it, and we'll catch up to the next time. Okay, and for the people here that are so fortunate in Baltimore County to be able to ask for a property tax increase or nuisance taxes and so on, there's a little envelope that comes out with your property tax bill. There's no prohibition at all in paying a little bit more or a lot, depending on your larder. Put some more in there. Spare us that can't agree and can't meet a larger nuisance or property tax bill without seriously undercutting our standard of living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Both of you know me. Hi, Johnny. Hi, Tom. I'm Joy Friedman, and I'm going to make it very quick. I'm just going to piggyback on what Darla and Jen said. I am not from this area. I'm from Towson. I am David Marks, representative on the Animal Advisory Commission. I had a meeting that evening and couldn't go to his, so I decided to crash yours. I want to just ask a quick question. How many of you here actually know where the animal shelter is? Can you say it all together? Nicodemus Road. I hope you heard that. That's Baltimore Humane Society. And part of the issue that we have is that people on this end of town don't know where their animals would go if they were picked up by animal control, which is something we've been trying to address. I'm going to make this really quick. Many of the issues I know you already know. We have management at BCAS that manage by intimidation and fear. Your OpEx report you just mentioned did not talk to any of the staff. They talked to management only from what we understand. And I don't know that you're going to get an effective report that way. Let's see. We have management at BCS that we believe manipulates the numbers. They do not manage by animal welfare. They have 0 cats in there today. Have you ever been to a shelter with 0 cats? When we have other shelters around the area that are overcrowded, they will not help out. The TNR program, Trap, Neuter, Release, does not employ best practices, dropping cats and kittens sometimes a mile away from where they were trapped. Baltimore City laws would consider this abandonment of an animal and charge them with animal cruelty. Management being Dr. Jones and Gary Klunk. They will not let the public in the stray room. Yes, if any of you guys lose your animals, you are not allowed to go back there and see if your animal is back there. They also will not let volunteers in the stray room. The public, you pay for that shelter, by the way. You should have access to every part of it except for medically necessary. Let's see. The management okayed taking 60 guinea pigs, I know you've heard about that, to a snake farm. After a uproar by employees, they were returned to the shelter and subsequently 34 were euthanized. That is a true story, and some people have been told that it isn't, and I'm here to tell you that it is. The Chief of Animal Services earned $183,000 a year, sustaining a $36,000 pay raise in about 3 years. Gary Klunk, management analyst, makes $117,000, sustaining a $32,000 pay raise in 3 years while engaging in deceitful management practices. The commission has been in front of the council 4 times over the year of 2018. Nothing has been done. We are confident, Johnny O, that you will do this. I just want to say one more thing. I understand, if after all we have uncovered and continue to uncover isn't addressed, why does our commission exist? What the 2 of you may not know is during my 4 years on the commission, I've undergone 4 surgeries, 12 rounds of chemo, and a CyberKnife radiation treatment due to stage 3 colorectal cancer. I have missed 2 meetings. That is how important the things we have uncovered at this shelter are. I implore you to make the changes necessary at BCAS. Thank you very much.
Steve Wally, glad to see you got elected.
Me too.
And I think you're good for the 8 too. I have 2 things. One is my friends in Anne Arundel County get a free recycling bin, and I see that they seem to be into it more. And the other thing about recycling is that the rules and regulations are at least intricate. Some kind of glass, some kind of paper, some kind of this, some kind of that, and that makes it more difficult. As I go through my neighborhood, very few people do the recycling. So if we had a free can and a better list, I think Anne Arundel uses a 1 bucket, put everything in it. And I don't know if they make money on it or not, but you're supposed to be able to make money on recycling, so that could be a resource if it's done correctly. My other point is on a map. Can I give this to you?
For us.
I'm actually president of East Catonsville Manor Community Association, and in the 2011-12, we were authorized by the county to be that association. At the same time, the West came into being, and that's Kitty, and you've probably met her already. So 2 years ago, they decided to take over our area, and for 2 years, they've been acting as though they control our area, and now they're getting to have events in our area, so it's getting to a critical point. Tom already knows about this. Well, I don't know if Tom knows, but Margaret Stokes certainly has, but no one has actually done anything about it. You're probably the only guy in the county who can stop one community association from overtaking another one. It seems to me, since we're both authorized by the county, it should be a simple thing to do. So I can't understand why it hasn't been done. And we're half a dozen to a dozen people servicing about 400 homes. I have a chance to meet people. I have a chance to help get their logs off the front lawn if they fell out of a tree, or do the things that can be done with that amount of people. The amount of people they have, they can't service what they have. Never mind coming over to our neighborhood and doing that. So we've tried to be receptive. We've tried to, and there's plenty of neighbors out there that we've helped already. So can you help me keep them out of my neighborhood association?
I mean, this is the first time I've seen or heard any of this, so I think having a conversation would make the most sense.
That's my wife's paperwork. Everything that both communities have done since 2012 is probably in there. So if somebody sat down and looked through that, they would see what's been certified, what hasn't been. That's
sure. I'm a big believer that actually I think if we all come together, we can probably all having conversations good. So
sure.
Thank you.
My name is Dion Keeling, and I am charged to represent I live on Stamford Road, and my neighbors asked me to ask this question, and I'm listening to you. It's about the property tax, and they're saying, most people I'm hearing saying they want the property tax raised. My neighbors are saying, well, most of the people that live there, they are either retired on my street, they're either retired or they are disabled, and raising property, they're on fixed income. So that doesn't play well with them. So that's why I'm here, putting that in. What do you think about that? What are you going to do about that? Because now I understand what everybody's saying about the taxes, but you're not representing everybody.
Sure. So what I can tell you is, as we've been confronting these challenges, I've said everything is on the table. Right. Ending programs, cutting services, raising revenue. I mean, we're looking at everything, and that's why there have been no decisions. Mm-hmm. The budget is in formulation because we want it to reflect the priorities of our communities. That's why having these conversations are so important, and why hearing things like, we are concerned that a property tax increase might disproportionately affect people on a fixed income or our seniors. And so, I mean, one of the things we actually talked about on the campaign trail was, can we find a way to even do a credit for people on a fixed income, or expand the credit we currently have? So, I mean, but it's all part of the conversation because, credits also are an expense, but it's all part of the mix, and it's why it's so important that we're engaging in the conversation, and why it's important for your councilman and for me to hear from you and your community members.
And one other thing they were concerned about was the teacher raise. Mm-hmm. I think it's very, very important.
So they want to pay teachers more, but they don't want to pay for it. I'm just kidding.
So
thank you so much. I really appreciate being. And in all seriousness, I mean, these conversations are very important, and I think that reflects the tough challenges that we're facing, because we want to do all those things.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Miko Baldwin. I am the alumni president of Milford Mill. So, Johnny, I thank you for wearing your socks for representing us. The green. I know you were just there, so I appreciate the opportunity to do things over in that community. I'm also the HOA president for Parkview Trails at Patapsco. I want to thank Margaret Stokes. I don't know what District 1 would do without her. She may run and beat you, but I really don't know what we would do without her, but it's been fantastic working with her over the years. We're with Parkview Trails community. We are actually 3 minutes from the Howard County line. So Johnny Cake Road, as you know, is wearing out thin. I don't know how else to describe it, but in the mornings, because there's so much traffic coming into Social Security Administration and the whole government land, there's a lot of traffic back there, and our streets are just being tore up there. So I want you to please take note and look into that, especially with a proposal for 550 units coming back there. So we are talking about schools being overcrowded. That's one thing there that I don't know how you're going to do it, but do something. Yes, I need you there. Secondly, the schools in the Woodlawn area. I'm from Windsor Mills, so we are in District 1. I don't want anybody to think I'm taking over, but we are in your district. But it surprises me, one, that if the headquarters for Social Security and government is in Woodlawn, why are the schools so bad? I've been in meetings with the same people in this room in Catonsville where they said they don't even want Woodlawn kids. TJ's from Woodlawn, I'm from Milford Mill, we understand. But they don't want any kids from the Woodlawn area into Catonsville, which we're talking about kids. So that hurts me to know that we're not putting more resources in the Woodlawn area. Miss Alberta, who runs the Kevin Louse Foundation, who I work with, she's here tonight as well. Miss Alberta is back there, but we need to put more resources. Every school should be the same. I think the magnet programs are tearing up this whole entire thing. The magnitude of kids that are bused out of the area to go over to Towson is just beyond me. 5 busloads of kids coming out of Woodlawn, Milford Mill, even over here in Catonsville. So anything you can do with education, with evening out, so that every child is the same, would help your program. The overcrowding, I know you meet with Catherine Pugh. She knows me, I know her. When you're sitting down having dinner, tell us stop tearing up the city and sending all those city's kids to our schools, because that's where your overcrowding is coming from. You can do a 24-hour audit and you will see that half of your schools will be dumped out with Baltimore City kids. So I'm just putting that in there because I know it's happening.
Yeah.
My last question, your thoughts with the new superintendent search.
So the first thing I'll say is that things like roster verification or those kinds of analyses are, again, it's a school board function. So
I know.
I hear you. I'm supportive of it.
I wanted them to hear me, but I'm talking.
Sure. Okay. As long as you know, yeah.
They know.
Look, I'd said all along that I think our superintendent is someone who came up through the system. She knows the system well. One of the things that's been frustrating at the state level is that we've had a state board who've consistently declined. I believe in local control and local courtesy, and we've had consistently the state board and the state superintendent has declined our recommendations twice. And so I hope that whatever this search bears out, I trust that the superintendent will be a strong candidate in the formal search that they're conducting. Whomever is selected, I really hope that the state board and state superintendent finally accepts whatever the local decision is. It's been really frustrating to see that hasn't happened to date.
I understand.
Because I think no one knows our local system better than our local people. And we shouldn't be dictated to by the state in terms of how we run our school system.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Kathy Wolfson, and I'm president of the Greater Patapsco Community Association. In 1999, my association was all the boundaries were within District 1. We were redistricted, and most of us are in District 4 now. However, we did develop the Patapsco Granite Community Plan, which included the area all the way up to Johnny Cake Road, everything north of Johnny Cake Road. In 2008, 2012, over 150 acres was upzoned to IMBM, OT, and DR 10.5. The DR 10.5 is currently being developed to 368 units. The IMBM could potentially add another 600 units if it's developed by right. There's currently considered 182 units just east of that. Traffic. All that upzoning was developed to attract Social Security Data Center and Redline, and we all know what happened to that. So the infrastructure is not matching what could potentially become 5,000 additional trips per day generated by these buildings, by these residences. We had a proposal for Social Security Boulevard. All we're hearing now from the developers is what gift it'll be because they won't push out Security Boulevard. The more I think about it, the more critical I think it is to push Security Boulevard out to Johnny Cake Road and give some relief to the poor people in Chadwick that are they can't even back out of their driveways in the morning and the evening with all the traffic. On the rural side, all the traffic is funneling either to Howard County or over to Dogwood Road on this little 2-lane ditched road that parallels Patapsco River, Hollifield Road. I am suggesting two very practical solutions: the Social Security Boulevard extension and two traffic circles, one at Hollifield Road and Johnny Cake, and the second at Hollifield Road and Dogwood. A traffic count last year established there were almost 9,000 trips a day at Dogwood and Hollifield. In 2004, engineering plans were submitted for the replacement of the Ben's Run Bridge over Dogwood Road over Ben's Run. 2004. And that was to replace the last time that bridge was replaced was in 1928 to replace a covered bridge. So it's been a while. Now, thanks to Waze and other, GPS, the traffic's horrendous. And I also suggest that they ditch the plan from 2004, which is inadequate for the Ben's Run Bridge, and include engineering to include a traffic circle at that area. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. As you know, my name is George White. I guess I have the best of both worlds. I live in District 44B, but my councilmatic person is Izzy Dakota. But as we know, as the districts are drawn, our concerns cross lines. So I'm here today just to speak of a few things that's heavy on my heart. And one of them is the environment, but I don't have time to talk about that because that's been already spoken on. My second concern is the safety and security of our county. I am an advocate of citizens on patrol, but I've taken it to another level. I believe in technology on patrol. So I have the dash cam. I believe if you see something, say something. But tonight, I really want to talk, my passion is education. And as you guys know, I've been to a lot of town hall meetings, and I'll keep this very short. My wife, stick your hand up, Bert, she's in the back. Stick your hand up. Go wave up. Okay. She's here with me, and it's hard to get her to really come out of the house. But education has been heavy on our heart. And I'd just like to, just to read a little bit something how we believe in education. Both of us are retired teachers, okay? And do you remember the words of the song, I believe children are our future, teach them well and let them lead the way. As you can tell, I'm not a singer, but that's how they go, okay? Our concern is how can they be taught well with overcrowded classes, 30, sometimes 40 students. That 30, 40 different personalities, different academic levels, different types of learning, not to mention different emotional and physiological needs. All of these concerns on one teacher and in one classroom. Add to this, teachers using out-of-pocket money to prep classes and obtain various supplies and materials. All of this at endless days throughout the school year. Teachers burn out, students need unmet needs, calls for an explosion, which we see that happen from time to time. However, I was taught, as most of us were, never come to the table with a problem or concern without having a few suggestions, options we can look at, in which I have several. Option one, offer opinions to offer to retired teachers to come and hold small class sizes with different learning styles throughout the day. Inclusion does work when it's done correctly. Option two, no class should have over 25 students, even with an aide in the class. Option three, increase teachers' salary so they will not need to moonlight to make ends meet to support their families. Option four, increase sub-teachers' salaries to get better sub-coverage. Now, for example, in Baltimore County, a retired teacher with an earned master's degree subbing earns about $91 a day, which covers from 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. Broken down, that becomes about $13 per hour gross. Wow. And McDonald's workers are fighting for $15 an hour. Now that really gives us something to think about. Regular teachers earn about $15 per hour. I know I've said a mouthful tonight, but hopefully that gives the current administration a little something to chew on. In closing, let us remember, children are our future. Let's teach them well so they can lead the way. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Donald Campbell. I'm the president of the Chadwick Homeowners Association. Johnny O, I didn't know much about you when you started running, but I studied up on you. I really did. Me and Tom, we go back a long way. I remember when Tom was started his first year and everything, and we tried to make things happen for him, and I'm so glad it did to have somebody as your right-hand man on your side. You know, in life you want to cross certain people that really makes things a lot easier for you and things that make an impact. I can't say Margaret Stokes. I mean, she keeps us so informed. I know y'all have heard her name a few times tonight, and I want everybody to take notice of that. Because when you meet an individual like that, you know, that's your go-to person. That's what you have. And that's who she is. And she's right there, and I want everybody to notice her. Okay. One other person I want to talk about the time we go back is Tony Bazemore. He was my man, Tony. He was just a phenomenal. I thought he lived out his trunk. But things happened. I'm here tonight to talk about two issues. One of them is that in Chadwick that we have, when I first moved there about over 20 years ago, you know, the residence was there, wasn't so many houses per square, you know, and things of that nature. But over the last 20 years, it has changed immensely. We get the developers coming here, they give us this song and dance story. They said that if it's not gonna be us, something's gonna go there, and I believe what they're saying. But we got over 500 units coming right now. Our schools is overrun. We had Chadwick Elementary School that was a Blue Ribbon School. I live in a community right now where I call it the League of Nations. We have so many diversified people in our community. Our association's meetings are dwindling down, and we just have that communication that we have right now. First thing I want to talk about is that we have all this coming in, and they have no resources for the youth in our communities. I'm a product of the Baltimore City Police Boys Club, okay? Because I came from there. I know what works and when it don't work. We're gonna have all these extra units, you're gonna have the kids in there. You can be in our community right now and you see what's starting to happen now, and I recognize it because I lived it. We got to have these resources there for all these units that are coming in, and you can see how things are starting to change now without the units in. That's number one. I think we call them power clubs now or something of that nature, but back then it was a different thing, okay? Number two, which has been an issue for so long, is that we have Fairbrook Road. Our traffic is horrendous. When Tom was running for office his first time, he was trying to cross Fairbrook Road. Asked him what happened years ago. And it has gotten worse. We try to get traffic calming on there, which we had Green Gauge and Fairbrook Road. Green Gauge was classified as a feeder road. We had the traffic coming down from Howard County. We finally got that changed. But then what they do, they classify Fairbrook as a feeder road. The cars on Fairbrook had numbers on them. Mario Andretti, all the rest of them on there. We done lost so many vehicles and pets. I done had good homeowners actually sell their homes and leave our community just because of the traffic there. I done seen we didn't have a traffic light down there. It took fatalities for them to put a traffic light at Roland Road in Fairbrook. Well, I'm just stressing that point to you because it's just something has to be done because it's just bad. You come out there, walk around, Tom, he just tell you about it. It's just terrible. But thanks for the time.
Thank you.
I appreciate it all.
Thank you. So I want to thank all of you who stuck all the way through. I hope that you found this useful and informative. I got to tell you, we've done 7 of these now. We've done two town halls on our police chief search, which is also something that hasn't been done before. And I'm just so impressed by this county. And I got to tell you, like, I feel lucky to be in this role at this time. It's not ideal circumstances to be governing in, but I just know that we've got incredible people and just awesome communities who are out there fighting for the right things. And so I just want to express my gratitude for you being here and being a part of this process. I'm going to turn things over to Councilman Quirk. I apologize. I'm going to just slide out as soon as we're done too, but thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this process.
Just real quick, did want to thank everybody as well for sticking here for the whole night, especially our county executive, who is really, really sick, by the way. So that was pretty amazing that you stuck it through, because I had what he had a couple weeks ago, and it's not fun. And so thank you for sticking with it and being here for tonight. And rest assured, we hear you, Mr. Campbell, Don Campbell, good friend, we hear you. Kathy Wolfson, all the animal control and animal welfare, but we hear you. Our environmental folks, the community. You know, Southwest Baltimore County, very lucky with Will Anderson, with Mike Moeller, with our former exec, Don Moeller. We got a great team here.